sure that you're getting through the Tormented Souls with Touch of Death. Shield's a great way to do so. Game 1 was on Infernal Shrines. Game 2 is going to be on Sky Temple. LagForce choosing first pick.
So not going with the map adjustment like we were talking about before, and Team Freedom taking us to their very favorite map. You know, normally, and even still now, I feel like this is got to be a nice moment for LagForce, just based on the fact that I think that they're really strong team fighters. Even though they're drafting more macro focus, they're playing more macro focus, at the end of the day, I feel like their biggest strength has got to be their team fight capabilities. Really nice sign here, but it's also a map where Team Freedom, it's their best map. They're most likely gaining an advantage level 1 through 10. And Sky Temple, it's pretty easy to secure that lead, and when you have it, never let go of it. So, trade-offs, boys.
Do we get another Zagara?
I really, really, really hope not. I'm over the Zagara outside of Brax's holdout and maybe other 2-lane maps where we can justify the global play. But if we're going to focus on globals, I feel like LagForce can make up for it through other avenues. They just feel the need to put BKT on the Zag.
Maybe he just really likes playing Zag.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I hang out with KO all the time, and I don't know if you knew that guy, but he is a walking Zagara behind the Nazebo.
I was expecting the Nazebo. I was very confused when you said the word Zagara.
No, he absolutely, he's all about the Zagara hype train.
There was a day when you could almost expect him to play Zagara, but that was a different time, a different Zagara. LagForce ban Medivh.
What do we see from Team Freedom? Globals are going to be less of a focus. Things like the Abathur are still going to be banned, though. I was going to say they're less likely to see priority, but I say that knowing Team Freedom is the most consistent, willing to pick that Abathur on a map like Sky, and they are the most successful with it, too. So the fact that they're the team banning it, I feel like is kind of almost reflective of their personal strength with the hero on the map rather than the rest of North America's.
Well, prepare yourselves, Team Freedom, because this is either a TAS Tracer or a TAS Lunara, and we should find out very soon which one of those it's going to be. If it's the Lunara, maybe the Lunara Dahaka.
I hope it's not a Dahaka if they go in that direction. If we see LagForce go into the Lunara, I think a beautiful transition in the secondary ban phase is the Sonya. The synergy with the Lunara and the TAS are already as the soft counter into the Genji with the Poison Spear. There's a lot of cool tools to be able to counter him off, but I feel like LagForce, you know, it's more likely that if they pick the Lunara, like you said, they will pick it up before the secondary ban phase. I just hold your horses a little bit here. There's some more innovation and countering to be done here with the draft of Team Freedom.
Sonya would be pretty cool, but it does rely on us to see a new hero for BKT. He's been fairly flexible in his new role, though, bringing in the Zagara as one thing. There's Lunara.
Not like this.
What's next? Rhaegar.
All right, so we're holding off, and we still have an opportunity for any of the offlaners to be picked up, but not going to the Tracer before that secondary ban phase for LagForce, hoping they can bait the ban. Isn't going to get it. Team Freedom, if you are truly the better team, and after seeing the Lunara picked up, I should be okay with just letting it go through. Like, there's no reason you should get the ban towards it, because with the Lunara, you should expect that to be big impact, and you also expect him to be the Tracer. But I also want to put it past him. And it's kind of one of those, I don't want to deal with this type compositions that any team can get a win with, no matter how good you are. And I wouldn't blame or hate on Team Freedom at all if they wanted to still rid of it.
Trying to figure out where Team Freedom wants to go to try and understand where this ban is going. Obviously, a safe choice would be Warrior. They already have their own Warrior. They're going to ban Illidan. Huh. LagForce has not been playing Illidan.
All the pieces of their composition kind of add up to it. It's another one of those, their comp add up to it, but they don't seem competent or capable of playing that style. Is it worth the ban still? And again, if you assume you're the better team, only because of the skill disparity, do I think this is an argument where I don't mind it, right? If it's a lot closer, it's a wasted ban. But when you're like that, you're like, do I really want to deal with this Illidan? The only chance they have at winning is with that hyper carry playstyle.
Well, that shows us that Team Freedom wants something else for Cure, and it's Dahaka. Dahaka and Lucio again.
I'll never hate on the Lucio. You know my hype between him and Stukov. It is probably unmatched in the support avenue here, but he's not having any cross support to be able to aid him and help peel off, which is what I expected. He still has the healing nerfs compared to the first iteration of Lucio, which is a total fine solo support. He still is going to be struggling in the late game healing and his overall healing, but he has better singles target sustain and, you know, again, survivability with those health changes that he got lately.
Last game, Collusion played Up the Frequency too, which we didn't get to talk about, but that talent has been buffed a few times, getting the cooldown reduction to have Amp It Up more often. Wonder if we'll see it again this game. Last 2 picks, Zuna, the Warrior, and B-Kid. Likely. Unless something fishy is going on.
I feel like it's going to be a Malthael, and I really don't want it to be a Malthael. It's going to be the double poison problem we have seen the members of Lag Force commit to if they do go into that direction.
Mura? Yeah, Malthael, Muradin. Muradin, so they have a way of stopping a mosh pit.
We have seen this composition from B-Kid and the members of Lag Force before, where they commit to the double poison. And I'm not saying that this is law, but it did not have a chance of confirming a major kill between the double poisons until after Muradin post 16 gave him the axe.
Yes.
So let's just hold that as true here.
Okay.
On a map like Sky Temple against Team Freedom, is that really something that Lag Force can actually take a risk to?
Very risky.
Bank on the 16 window? I'm scared. But we also, again, Lucio doesn't have any secondary support with him quite yet. He doesn't have any immediate burst healing to aid into the Genji.
Not really the option unless they were going to go into a full support, and that's not Team Freedom style.
You could argue that it would be a Tyrael, make up for both, and be a 5-man death melee composition.
Triple Warrior with Genji? I don't hate it. Sanctification for another different holy mosh.
I was just coming up with more ways to have more cross-supporting without committing to a full double support.
Tyrande. I'll go back to their gray main.
Very strong composition here for Team Freedom, one that Lag Force is going to have to give a lot of respect to throughout all stages of this game on Sky Temple.
Double poison. How do you think that's going to fare versus the Lucio up to 16 when we get up the frequency, maybe Rejuvenescencia now that we've got a double warrior?
I think, sorry, this is actually going to be, it's a little bit harder. So I had to convey this. It's going to do poorly, but it might do just enough.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is I don't think it will confirm kills. I think oftentimes Lag Force, if they win this game, it will be almost killless. It'll be like, we got enough poison damage to where they weren't comfortable reinitiating.
Yeah, they back off.
And so if it makes it to 20, I feel like Team Freedom will get to that point. Lucio does have the late game sustain to make that happen, turn around a fight, and they will reinitiate. But levels 1 through 9 and stuff, it could be a high enough damage output to where the Lucio mobility drops. They won't get the kills, again, because they don't have the burst, unless the Stormbolt is the thing sealing the deal, locking them down, and getting themselves that kill. So I feel like it's going to be a lot of running away, and does the healing output make up for it? And I would like to say I think it does. But, you know, that's yet to be seen.
Well, maybe we'll have a leaping strike this game from Lag Force. It would be the first in a while. Game 2 ready between Lag Force and Team Freedom. Team Freedom currently up 1-0 in this best of 5.
But in most cases, I do expect the double poison to struggle against this Lucio. And his healing output throughout all stages of the game. Other talents here for these teams seem to be sticking to the norm. Team Freedom committing to Flask build, even though it is on Sky Temple. That is, you know, Flask builds hit or miss. Some teams it's more optional. This is a map where Wolfheart probably stands out a little bit more than most of gray main builds, but not surprised to see them still comfortable with that poke.
Dread, there's your secondary supporting. It's Prog Rock.
Nailed it. The Prog Rock of Zugrug is going to be enough cross-supporting with the Lucio that they don't have a thing to worry about. You might be right. Like, ETC has enough peel for me to enjoy the Lucio off on its own. Dahaka has got the side soak the whole way through. It's just more the Genji that I'm concerned with looking at the Lucio. If he overcommits to things, he doesn't have enough immediate burst outside of the cooldown of the Amp It Up.
Yeah, and you have to reserve Sound Barrier, it seems, for Tormented Souls, especially now that you've got a secondary poison behind it. That's the time when you drop down Sound Barrier, you get through Tormented Souls, and hopefully quickly get a counter kill before the double poison is too much for you to handle.
And I think that comes down to the conversation piece we oftentimes have with like the style of healing that you want depending on the composition that you have. Because, I mean, a Genji at 25% is not the same as most melee assassins at a 25%. Like, I'm far more afraid of the Genji if he doesn't have any cooldowns, or if he has cooldowns than if he doesn't in that circumstance, whereas I'm always afraid of an Illidan at 25%. There's never a time where I'm like, this guy is not going to be difficult for me to end up killing, which makes the effective HP and how the healing comes through here on Collusion and the interaction with this comp, that makes it concerning. And Genji is one of those heroes. Being cooldown dependent means that if he fails on cooldowns, he fails in HP, but above usually about the 50% threshold, he just gets bodied, especially after his, you know, recent nerfs.
But even still, there's not a whole lot of lockdown for Lag Force to hold him down.
Just the Muradin.
Yeah, and the Muradin is your reliable source of stopping a mosh pit from Zugrug. So that Stormbolt, Zuna's got to play cautiously. Can't be playing fast and loose with the Stormbolt.
Oh, look at all the focus going on to Big E. He is in, and then he's just gone. Zuna is now the concentration point. Tassadar shield keeps him alive, maybe even accepting his fate for a moment, but makes it behind the gate. Shots consumed in mid through by Team Freedom. Also keep in mind, those shots that were taken on top, all by Dahaka. So this has been Freedom in absolute control over this first Shrine phase.
Yeah, nobody's coming back in to contest. As Collusion finally steps on the point, maybe then Lag Force can move in and hopefully get the last few shots from this mid-temple, but Team Freedom has gotten a boatload of shots off of both of these temples so far in a full level lead 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the game.
2 minutes and 30 seconds into this game and a level lead. Lag Force. I mean, I don't like saying that games are getting out of control too soon, but I mean, we have to consider the general trends and power levels of these teams and how the map plays out. This is not a situation where Lag Force can say, you know, we didn't fall too far behind because of these situations, or at least it's close enough to where they have to be second guessing themselves. The Dahaka with the side soak is a problem, so much so that after getting this burst, Lag Force is going out and they're going to be responding to this. Now it's about what happens over those Giants, over those Knights before the secondary Shrine phase.
Yeah, very cool of Freedom to leave most of their team up into the top, but not overcommit to it. It forced Lag Force to feel like they needed to keep everybody on top of that Shrine because they were so it was unimpactful for them in the mid-Shrine. They lost their Lunara, they had to leave. Team Freedom took a lot of that. It put some panic into Lag Force to stay in the top, into Haka, got that free soak to continue the level lead that they have. Both headed straight for their Giants first, not allowing anybody to steal away from the other ones. No one's pulling the Superstars here.
Pulling the Superstars, they get their own verb. I mean, I know why you refer to it as the Superstars. I just like memeing the fact that we can verb it up, you know? We get to do what we want. English,
they do
who
that
cares
a lot.
about the rules?
That's pulling a Superstars. We've got pulling an Iacona. That's holding on to your talents.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I agree with you. It's just more of the question of whether or not the fact that, you know, Superstars stands out with their approach enough. And I think, you know, maybe they do. They are almost always, every single game, Giants, your Giants, and out. Granted, we saw maybe too predictably so in the last series. They got the delay on the invade. They got the upper hand over the Knights. And that looks a little bit of the tale that's unfolded here. Lag Force pick up the Knights a smidge earlier than that of Team Freedom, but only a smidge.
They had the faster rotation there, but they've also gotten Muradin into, or on the eye, taking the vision. And both Rhaegar and Malthael are from the top. Muradin was checking out to see if he could catch somebody on the mercenary camp, and it was Greymane who was soaking there. How long do Lag Force keep as many members in the top lane as they do?
I feel like the answer has got to be not very long unless they are playing for the very, very late stages of this game. One more second, Shrine is activated. Team Freedom starting off the first couple of shots. The members of Lag Force seem to be interested in this bottom lane, but that's a Dahaka versus a Malthael mismatch up on top, favoring Lag Force, but not favoring them when considering this fight down below.
Keeping Dahaka up in the top for now. Team Freedom still contesting this Shrine. It's not going to be where they have heroic abilities.
When's the brush stock come in? That's what we've got to be asking ourselves there. Zugrug's falling pretty low. They're trying to bait them into that choke, so that shrub is such an easy kill target there for the Dahaka. Zuna Postures out. Stormbolt lands on the Nasmus. Mobility thrown from Collusion, but all the shots captured. Not all of them, most of them captured by Team Freedom.
Cure stalks in. Zuna caught with a lot of members of Team Freedom standing between him and the rest of his team. After the dwarf toss,
Cleanse.
he power slides, catching him. A cleanse is used, but not in time to save Zuna.
Zuna does not make it out here, and the last shot left will go to Team Freedom, securing these last couple of bursts and the bottom fort. First fort of the game to go down. Not one that Freedom wanted to see let go. When looking at the heroics, the members of Team Freedom not taking anything too crazy. We do get go for the throat.
Yeah.
But that is, again, and one of the few heroics that are about, you know, it's to each their own. Still waiting on Dahaka and ETC, though. It's going to be the isolation, and I assume we're going to get a mosh pit. Isolation
generally is the choice when you see a Dahaka Malthael matchup. And there's mosh pit. Zuna got caught. He already... That knocked him out of dwarf toss.
It did. Oh, he's willing to avatar. So now that is about 60 seconds where Zuna will be back and he will lack the avatar. If the members of Team Freedom can force a fight during that window, it might not be worth the trade there. If he hadn't popped that though, to be honest, Freedom would have staggered the death even longer, so I can understand the argument of taking a B-Kid with some clever moves, popping and costing him his heroic. He does make it out.
And Dansky uses Dragon Blade.
That's a worth trade there. The cooldown's even.
Yep. Makes it a lot better than it would have been otherwise.
Very good point that you bring up here, Gilly. Team Freedom, though, still quite a bit ahead with that full level lead. The 13 talent tier is going to be coming online about at the exact same time that we know these shrines are going to, right? We have a 30-second warning over the next shrine, which means that that's about half a level time. And the members of Lag Force have to find a way to get the upper hand, get the prediction in transition, and they might be getting it right now on top.
Yeah, they're going up to the top. Dahaka is there. There is the one person, the Stormbolt, to stop him from being able to brush talk out. The members catch him. Dahaka goes down for 30 seconds. He won't be there. Team Freedom, though, going to do their best to get what they can out of that Dahaka death, and that includes pushing the mid and the bottom waves. 2 temples activating in 8 seconds. Dahaka will be back in 15 to join back up with the rest of the team.
It's about, what, 5, 6, 7 seconds at most that separate the difference between the Dahaka and the shrines. It's one of the downsides of killing the global without it using its global, as it will cut all the downtime between the Hall of Storms to the map objective by being able to brush talk on out. Dahaka is going up towards top to get the soak, but when needed will make his way down to force the fight. We can assume that to be after Team Freedom rounds the 13 talent tier, which is happening once this mid and final fort for Lag Force goes down through mid.
Yeah, Freedom perfectly fine to trade on the temples because they are ahead structurally, they're ahead in the experience too. And once they got the 13 advantage, that's when they marched in to try to catch Cure, looking for that drag, finds Malthael. The rest of the team winding up, we've got the mosh pit, catching Malthael, and one other. Unfortunately for Lag Force, it was Zuna who got caught there. Naz is still going in. Another power slide catches 2. A drag to follow up, gets a second kill, then the third in the fight.
Dansky going through, trying to find reset on top of reset. He only ended up finding one, but it was enough and all that it mattered. iDream ends up kiting out far enough to survive. Not something I thought I was going to be able to say as a true statement, but it doesn't matter. They zone far enough off that Lag Force cannot defend over this boss. Team Freedom picked themselves this up, and we can assume they will secure the remainder of these shots. When all is said and done, that means that every shrine except for top will be 100% a keep for Team Freedom. And we haven't even seen a single fort fall.
Dahaka's chasing off members, but he's also baiting them into the fight. Team Freedom are everywhere in this fight. iDream's in trouble, B-Kid's in trouble. A perfect bait from Team Freedom. Once again takes out Malthael just as he had come back online. There's still the boss. They kill Tassadar. Dang, Freedom are so oppressive in this game.
Big Impact's feeling it. And now, with that kill, again, those shots on bottom, the damage on mid, or on bottom as well with this boss, this is not going to be a keep again, but it is prepped mid and bottom to be the keep because the scaling of the shots with every shrine phase gets slightly stronger. And more importantly, the structure's removed on that front wall, and now that top fort. They might not even need it. They aren't going to need it. That burst is securing this keep.
And they speed on out. But the force of a Lucio. Keep down in game 2 at 10 minutes, 11 minutes into the game, and another 3-level lead for Team Freedom. Things look grim for Lag Force in this game number 2.
They do look grim. I'm honestly trying to just look for, within reason, where does Lag Force recover this game? And outside of a miracle boss play, it just doesn't look like it is going to happen. And even then, boss win condition, if they manage to get the fight on top of it, catching out Cure might be a really nice start.
Yeah, he does not have adaptation.
But that sound barrier
saves him. He goes back in for the drag, and now B-Kid is done with the
Zuna's going in. He wants to try and take this. He does end up getting himself a kill. Power slide away for Zugrug. Lag Force take the fight 2 levels down, a 16 talent tier, and yet they can claim themselves victor. This is what this team has been able to do in all of Phase 2 Part 2, and why they have such upward momentum swing.
The only thing I will caution is that every time Lag Force did this, what ended up losing them the game, even when they started to come back, even when they looked like they had a potential place of being able to win. 4-man mosh pits, and not really a way of being able to stop it.
I don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't exist in this game. All right, let's list the amount of opportunities other than Stormbolt. Have we formally done that yet?
Yep. Well, no, go ahead.
All right, now that we've formally done it.
Yeah, we alluded to it earlier, but just to reiterate, you're talking about the Stormbolt.
And that's it. It's about nada beyond that point. There are no talent adjustments remaining that I can think of whatsoever, but the invade over this camp. Lag Force still not with the 16 talent here. This choke mosh pit wasn't used in the last skirmish. We have to remember that too. There's full heroics available. The brush stock is something they're afraid of. Kira gonna go ahead and flex that on in. Power slide lands onto Zuna. Drag, the switch strike, Avatar. Zuna's down. Reset number 1 for Team Freedom. The only one they want.
The only one they need. There's a temple ready. They march toward that, dance toward that with their Lucio. We've got a boss in 1 minute, 42 seconds. Team Freedom are extending way out past the temple, looking to see if anybody can be caught.
There was not a full front wall cleared on that mid keep. So suddenly, with this being only 13 minutes in the game, I'm not confident that's a keep 100%. So Lag Force might have a keep. Granted, with that being down the talent tiers that they are and so much inexperience, it's very likely that the members of Team Freedom just poke away, wither away at it long enough to make sure it goes down. But that is an area where you can expect Team Freedom to maybe panic, make a bad call, and where Lag Force, if I am them, I'm going, this is the fight. They're going to mess this up. They want this to go down because even though it really doesn't change anything, let's be real here, psychologically, it hurts to look at a keep sitting at 5%.
Shield has been used.
Sad days. The Tassadar shield's not enough to keep it up. The Giants are going to be on the core of Lag Force. Somebody's got it back to respond. There are no globals, so this is a window where we can assume Team Freedom to really punish.
How do they do that? There is the one camp to steal. Lag Force is still on it. Clear out. Maintain vision.
We're at the stage of the game where Lag Force can't take trades, right? We know that they have to force a fight. Because, I mean, let's be real here. You're down 2 keeps and you haven't gotten even a 4. So that...
Oh, goodness, you are correct.
I mean, it is miles behind, right? That even for, you know, the lesser experienced viewer, I think it's pretty apparent that one of these teams is, in fact, winning over the other. So with the boss up in 9 seconds, that's the only fight Team Freedom can lose this game over. This is another case where Team Freedom, it is in their best interest to take top keep or all in the core. Ignore the boss.
Look at Lag Force's positioning.
And that's what they do.
I am still so impressed at the decisions made by Lag Force when they're behind. They have no fear, full understanding of what they need to do to get back in the game. But Team Freedom don't take the bait. They'll instead just take out the final keep of Lag Force, knowing that a lot of members of Lag Force were on the boss. They're starting to back right now, but this keep has sustained so much damage.
They're going to have the sound barrier. They didn't get the keep completely. Nasmus got chunked very, very low. The boss consumed and captured there now by the Malthael, but he's flanking in. This is Lag F's fight to take.
Boop throws him away, but with the Wraith Strike, jumps back on top of Greymane. The Death Shroud's there. Now he's got Reaper's Mark on Zugrug.
And now he's got a lot of damage. The slow from Lunara. B-Kid. Okay. Team Freedom. They make it out. The shots are going to be alive here in 3 seconds through mid and bottom. If an entire altar goes over to the hands of Freedom, it's game. as long as it all happens at once. Keep in mind the shielding on the core is a bit of a, you know, a wild beast.
No gray main, but 20 soon. Freedom tiptoeing forward. They have Dahaka in the bottom. It's Malthael versus Dahaka. We're trying to see where all the members of Black Force are. They've been spotted. Zugrug has to get out of here fast. Power sliding out. Speed. The heals from Lucio. And Dahaka can get on top of the shrine.
Team Freedom capturing this bottom shrine. That is going to be the final keep removed. Now they are focused towards the core. They have the 20s. Now Black Force has to be the one backing away. Middle is going to be the focus. Brushdock coming through the shrub. Tomster's the concentration. He does not get power slid. He actually escapes. And now Black Force is going to try and take this fight down 20 Talonteers.
We'll see if they'll do it. Avatar's been
Beacon.
used. Look at all of that. They've got the silence, though.
He got silenced, but the Mosh Pit locking him down, keeping him in place.
Dragon Blade
gets the very first reset, but they killed themselves, the ETC. It is 1-for-1 so far. Cure lands the drag onto Tomster, and that is now another kill for them. 4 for nothing. Dansky is just having an absolute heyday there. Big Impact.
It's a Dragon Blade party, and Big Impact is the invitee. All 5 members of Black Force go down. Team Freedom only losing their ETC. Will walk on in to the base of Black Force, take out the core. But my, oh my, Black Force, you didn't make it easy for Team Freedom this game.
They did not. Black Force showed a lot of control when sitting from behind, even managing to take all of the forts that we were just talking about standing on the other side of the table. With the win into that team fight, Team Freedom takes game 2 on, keep in mind, their most successful favorite map to prioritize.
2 games up for Team Freedom. They've got a lot of wiggle room now in this series, but just like versus Roll20, Black Force garnering a lot of respect for their plays, their ability to go in for team fights without these crucial talent tiers and make things happen.
Yeah, that was a situation up on the top lane where I feel like Team Freedom's changes, you could see the youth kind of within their mixed ideology. So when going into Western Clash, they started concentrating a lot more onto the macro play. The very first time we saw them publicly show that they have a lot better understanding of macro was actually the exact same circumstances. It was Sky Temple with top keep the last thing standing, a boss they didn't have to contest, and they ignored it, took it, and got away with it. That was a case where on top, because they didn't get it so fast, you either all in commit to it, get it, take the fight, because you're going to have such a big power spike afterwards, or you all run away far before it was even risky. They ended up losing a couple of staggered deaths, and the members of Black Force not able to, you know, redeem, and granted, that was probably because all the forts still stood. But it wasn't as smooth as you would assume, and still showing that the development here for Team Freedom is still yet to be perfectly refined.
And even with that, though, Team Freedom sitting pretty at 2 wins so far in this best of 5. Once we return from this commercial break, we'll see if Black Force can keep the series going or if Team Freedom sends it home.